Hello, my friends. I'm Kayla. Oh my god, this has thumb holes. Okay, anyway, this week is about sequels. I'm very excited because I think I anticipate very few sequels, but when I do, I get hyped about them and I look forward to them all year, and then I buy them and then they sit on my shelf. And so once the end of the year starts approaching, I go, oh my god, I have to read those sequels. Oh my god, I have to read those sequels. And I have 7 on my list, and I'm only allotting myself a week to complete this video. So I have 7 days to read as many sequels as I can. Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers was a Literally Dead book club pick, and I said in the live show, I don't think I'm gonna continue in the series. And then suddenly I put it on my most anticipated list and told you all I was gonna read it, and then I bought it. And I think this is what I wanna read because it's like that cozy mystery, it's found family, and it's gonna be an easy read. And I think balancing some like more intense things with easier things, that's going to be the answer, because I also have the strength of the few to read. I am going to flip this dust jacket inside out during this vlog. It's going to be a very exciting moment. I just want to make sure I crease it correctly because the publisher so kindly listened to our outrage about the new covers that some of us don't like, and so they printed it double-sided, which is pretty incredible. This is the sequel to The Will of the Many. I read this at the beginning of the year. I don't actually have my copy anymore because I lent it to my mom, finally. I felt like I wish that I had read these pretty back to back because there's just so much happening in the first book. So I suggested to my mom, wait until this book is actually out, because I just have a feeling she's going to want to continue. She continues in the series way more than me, even if she hates the first book, I feel. So this chunker is next on my list. And then another easy one, I didn't put these in any specific order. A Mouthful of Dust by Nevo is the 6th book in the Singing Hills cycle. It's so funny because I was staring at my bookshelves trying to find this series, and I was like, where the heck is it? Where the heck is it? I was looking for hardcovers. They were in the paperback stack. Because yeah, these used to only be $17, and now it's $35. They doubled in price. Who is actually making the money from this? Like, I get when a series gets more successful, they, you know, might turn paperbacks into hardcovers as the series continues because they can make more money because they know people are excited about it. But how much of my money is actually going to this author? Because if it's just going to the construction of the book, like, I didn't want these to be hardcovers to begin with. I love this universe. I love following Chi. That's why I've bought 6 books, and they're suckering me in. The next one is a longer one. This is Tomb of the Sun King. This is the only book on this list that isn't a 2026 release. Hello? What year am I in? A 2025 release. This one came out in 2024, so it's a backlist sequel for me. But I read, do I have it? Where is it? I have to have my props. I recently bought this because I read it as a library book, loved it, bought it, had to have it, tabbed it, and I want to continue. And this is also a library book, and if I feel like I'm gonna start tabbing it, then I have to buy it too. I'll tell you what all of these books are about later. I also have The Game is Afoot by Elise Bryant. This is the sequel to It's Elementary. It's a cozy mystery, kind of, but it's also just general fiction. There's some romance, and this was definitely an easy read, and I think this one will be fun, following Mavis and her daughter. Somebody dies in each book. And then I also have Everybody Wants to Rule the World Except Me by Django Wexler, which is a sequel to How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, which was one of my favorite books of last year. So I have been hyped about this, but earlier reviews have made me think it's just gonna be okay. So it's hard to get hyped about it. The last one I don't physically have because, again, oh my god, it's big and it's pricey, and I don't even know if I should read it. It's a sequel to Quicksilver, Brimstone. And when I finished this, I'm pretty sure I said I don't think I'm gonna continue, but it's one of the only romantasy books that I've liked, and I know the girlies will question me because of all the romantasy, like, this is the one that did it for you? I don't care. There was something about it that was so stupid and fun, so I might continue in that. Those are the 7 books. There's no way I get through all of them. I just actually started using Notion, and I have a little Notion spreadsheet, if that's what you call it. It's probably called something different, with all the sequels that I'm reading. And it makes me remember like which first books I gave a high rating. So in reality, I know I should start with the sequels to the books I gave 5 stars. I have to go pick up Liam from school right now for a phone call doctor's appointment, and then he goes back to school. We might have to go to Vancouver next week again for more tests, but right now I'm gonna do a little doctor's appointment and then go to the grocery store and go to the library and go to the bookstore and go to HomeSense. Maybe that'll be the most fun place for me to take you. My HomeSense visit has nothing to do with books, but we might as well take a look at the book section because I've noticed they have more and more lately. Although I think it's only like the most popular romances, it seems. The number one thing I'm here for, I didn't bring my windscreen so I can't vlog with you outside, but I need like a charcuterie board that has divided areas because on a girls' weekend I want to have it in the fridge like ready to go, but not so it's all touching each other for like 24 hours before. And my number 2 goal is to avoid the holiday decor because I don't need it. Say it with me. We don't need it. What if I need it? It's all so pink and pretty. I kept thinking that I saw what I needed, but it was just a little too shallow or it wasn't the right material. And then I went into like the Tupperware section and I realized like this is actually kind of perfect because this way I can just cut it all up at home, put it in here and then seal it. And then when we get there, open it up and it's already like divided up and I don't have to do anything. And people can just go pick and choose as they want throughout the weekend. We've learned from the last 2 years that our breakfasts and dinners are just like really tasty because we're like all feeding each other. Each person's responsible for a different meal and we eat a lot more than we would at home. And having lunch every day was so unnecessary and we weren't hungry by dinner time, so we were pushing dinner time till like 9 p.m. So this way each of us is in charge of like a snack instead of a meal. So I'm doing the cheese and meat, someone's doing some little bakery things, someone's doing the fruit, someone's doing the vegetables, and that should work perfectly. I did buy one thing and I'm already thinking, was this the right decision? Because it does have a raw edge to it and maybe this is going to be annoying to clean. The thing is, I don't understand why don't cutting boards have feet? Maybe because people also don't want it out on their counter all the time, but I keep my cutting board on the counter and I don't even use a cutting board. I use one of these and I have for years. It's kind of more like a display table. I think it's kind of like a charcuterie board. But the one that I currently use, I'm pretty certain isn't actually food safe. And so when I cut up, especially like fruit on it, I put it on a paper towel and I'm wasting paper towel. And I don't just want to use a normal wooden cutting board because I want one with feet. Because then when things fall off the cutting board, I can like scoop them right directly into a bowl. I guess I can do that off of this edge. And when something spills off of it, it lands on the counter and doesn't muck up the sides of the cutting board that's touching the counter. This is probably just a me thing, but it drives me crazy. So I bought myself a replacement for the one that I already have. But also, wood might get in my food. So this might have been a stupid purchase. Off to the bookstore. I actually have to do a return because I'm really stupid. And while I was purchasing some books last time with my mom, even at the table you heard me say, I have this book. I already own this book. But because there was just a stack of like 6 books on the table that I was buying, I accidentally bought myself the copy of Immortal. I did not intend to, so I'm gonna go return this and buy a couple other books. I also have A Mouthful of Dust by Nevo on my list. This is Singing Hills book number 6. It's very much a story about the rich versus the poor, and we have indulgent royals. There's a famine happening. She is trapped in this like castle or manor and has to confront like what's happening with the caste system, I guess. Okay, I successfully picked up a couple books that I need for my Goodreads choice video. I went to the drugstore and then I had a little bit of time to kill. I need to go to the grocery store, but I'm trying to time it right because I pick up Liam from school in like an hour, so I don't want to get groceries a little too early because I don't want them to have to sit in here. So I just sat here and read a good portion of my book. This is A Mouthful of Dust by Nevo. If you don't know the series at all, it's fantasy. It's about a cleric, and the cleric is going around to different lands just to write down stories, to pen stories. They have this creature partner called Almost Brilliant, and they just have this great memory, and they're penning down everybody's tales. And each story is them going to that place. A little bit of their own personal kind of journey. I think throughout the series we've gotten to know Chi a little bit more. In this one it doesn't feel like Chi is the focus, and they get told a story or multiple stories throughout the book that just gives us an insight into the land or a specific environment, a certain relationship, like anything. And what's fun about this is in the first book, The Empress of Salt and Fortune, that was this beautiful tale of these two women. And in here, somebody witnessed the Empress coming through the town. And so we get a little bit of a callback to the first book. And in this one, we're exploring a famine that occurred. And A Mouthful of Dust is a reference to how everyone was starving so much. They actually began to eat questionable things because they were starving. But one thing they would eat is dust. And they said if you kept the paste and you just held it in your mouth for long enough, you could convince yourself that it tasted sweet. And it's just like this really heartbreaking story. And then she is going around to other people and learning various things about the history of the area and the famine, and how important sharing recipes is, and keeping recipes also personal at the same time, because bad things can happen if you share the recipes, and people can take advantage of that and create famines if they want to control you and they know what you consume. I just finished Mammoths at the Gates, A Mouthful of Dust. That was the last one in the series. I'm giving it the same rating I gave the last one, which is a 4. I'm just so efficient today. I don't know how I got everything done. I picked Liam up. I had to be back in 2.5 hours, and I crushed it. I even got my library books. I stopped and got him a smoothie. Well, I got myself one too, but this was unexpectedly the most horror of this entire series. Not like it's more horror than fantasy, but definitely horror tinged fantasy is what I would call this, as opposed to, and now I can't remember all of the other ones really clearly, but I think I wouldn't call any of the other ones horror tinged. And just like every other book in the series, there were multiple moments where Chi is collecting stories, and so obviously they're very passionate about collecting stories and making sure everybody feels heard and welcome. So there were a couple lines that if I had my highlighter, I would have highlighted about how like no story is, I put this on upside down, no story is insignificant, and everything deserves to be written down even if you don't feel like it's the most important story. I don't want to tell you exactly why it feels like horror, but it does say in the synopsis that they discover the secrets of what happens when hunger stalks the land and what the powerful will do to hide their crimes. They must learn what happened in Bolin when the famine came to call. What are you gonna do to survive? And many people didn't survive. Like, there were not graphic descriptions of death, but there was memories of death in here that were very sad. Now, a quick little library haul in case you wanted it. I grabbed, for the Goodreads Choice Awards, the Dating and Dragons one, which someone told me isn't actually following the same couple in the first book. I had no idea. I just assumed it was like a continuation of their love story. That one is not for the video. I got The Everlasting. They showed up so quickly, which I wasn't expecting. And then I got the thriller that I need to read the first couple chapters of and decide if I want to read that or Vera Wong. I'm reading Vera Wong in this video though, so maybe I am doing that for the Goodreads Choice. I don't know. And then they had both of the historical fiction ones available, Amity and the Amalfi Curse. So I have to choose between these two in the Goodreads video. And as far as this vlog, because this is one you care about, because we're inside it right now, I've already finished one book, and maybe I don't really have many plans tonight. I already have a video edited for this weekend, so I'm pretty much good to read a whole nother book tonight. I think I can read a whole nother book tonight. Definitely a lighter one, not my fantasies. So it's gonna be Vera Wong or Mavis Miller. I finished It's Elementary, and I'm actually gonna give it a 4.5. I don't feel like this is the kickoff to a series, but it could be. I think many things are open for this character to explore in her career and relationship and in parenthood, and I would follow more from her. Okay, I did not update you last night because Rob went to bed really early and I didn't want to disrupt him. Oh my god, putting this back together after washing it, so fun. It's like a puzzle. I'm gonna cut all the cheese and meat, and I'm gonna tell you, we leave in 2 hours, what I thought of the first half of this, because that's how far I got into it last night before I went to bed. These are all the cheeses I picked. Have you ever seen a baby bell like this? I'm so excited. It's huge. I feel like I shouldn't cut it up, but I'm going to. I am going to share as much as I want to take just a big bite out of it. Oh, and now there are dogs barking. Of course. I can't film this later. In the first book, it's elementary. We have Mavis, who's just getting into the PTA, and people are kind of forcing her, just like in her job, into like DEI positions because her school and job is a lot of white people. And so they're like, you teach us how to be inclusive. You do all of this stuff for us. And that's like the struggle personally of the first book. Also with recently being divorced, trying to connect more with her daughter. So she's struggling a little bit with things like that. But it is an overall like empowering kind of story where she finds purpose and she solves issues. She ends up trying to help solve a crime. Sorry, I'm not filming myself cutting. I need to get all of this done. And in the second book, it would be unnatural for it to be the same kind of story where the same kind of person dies, blah, blah, blah. So what happens in that one, oh my God, that fits so perfectly. What's happening in this one is her daughter is just joining a sports team and a soccer team, and the coach dies. And then a bunch of people, it's a question of like, who did this coach not like? Who didn't like him? They're like fighting over field time and like who gets to use the sports field when and stuff like that. And at the same time, she is struggling with similar stuff as the first book, with relationships. Maybe her husband isn't complete, or her ex-husband isn't completely over her. Is her relationship everything that she wants? I feel kind of like is just setting up things for future books, kind of like when I was reading Finley Donovan, and like the relationship she's trying to decide between starts to feel a little silly. It's like by now they should have figured it out, but because they want another book in the series, they have to cause drama. That's kind of how it felt to me in this book. I don't think there needs to be a love triangle, but if it makes people pick up, subsequent books, I get it. One thing about this book and one thing about me is I don't think that books need to stand the test of time. I think in the era that we're in publishing, it's perfectly fine for the book to be for the people who are currently reading it, and it doesn't need to be something that people are going to read 50 years from now, 100 years from now. And I think that is the opinion of many people, but they will still like leave reviews that are like, oh, this had too many pop culture references. This felt too much of its time. And I just feel like in this book, there was one specific quote where she said, the FBI agent in my phone is going to be surprised to see me doing this. And it was mentioned so casually that I feel like people who aren't actively on, I don't know, like TikTok or social media would not get that reference and are probably reading this book thinking like, what do you mean she has an FBI agent in her phone? Like, why have we not touched on this before? What are we talking about? But those of us who are like know what that means, like, as a joke, like we all just acknowledge that someone is listening in on what we're doing, and that's why all of our ads are so specific to us, because we have an FBI agent in our phone. I just love that little very modern, very current day reference. Here's cheese number 3. This is smoked Gruyere, my favorite. Okay, I had to combine some because I realized I still have to fit meat in here. I put cheddar, Havarti, whatever these little ones are, and then just some Laughing Cow cheese. And I found these tiny little jars, which are so perfect because I love bringing fig jelly, but I hate having to put it into a different container or bringing like the big jar with me. So these are so cute. And my favorite thing about this right now is that I can put this into the fridge and I can keep these ones out and keep filling them with the meat while I put the cheese back. Overall, I'm just really happy with this so far. Happy to be reading it. And it's definitely the cast that's bringing me back, like the warmth from her dad, her ex, and the mess, her new boyfriend, her daughter. Like everyone is so over the top that's also what makes it fun. Here's the final tray. There's all the meats. I've got a bunch of different types of crackers. I also made a hummus, and I have one other dip that I'm gonna bring, like an artichoke dip from the grocery store. I finished my meal prep. I finished my laundry, except for one thing that's still in the dryer. It's just a rain jacket. It's really loud. And I finished my book. How do you guys pack? Are you someone who like takes an item out of your closet one by one and puts it in your suitcase, like as you're planning what you're gonna wear? Or do you lay it all out on your bed first to make sure you can see everything you need, and then you move it from bed to suitcase? I feel like it's probably a mix, but I think any other way to do it It's crazy. I'm gonna bring shorts, pajama shorts, because sometimes the girlies like to keep the house hot. I do need to bring a swimsuit because there is a hot tub, which is the best part. This time we're going to Revelstoke, so we've got like a 2.5-hour drive, and we're not on the ski mountain, but we're just at the bottom. I was thinking, because I have the roof rack, maybe one day I can just pop up to the hill and I can just get like a one-day pass and I can do a couple runs just for fun. Yeah, the mountain's not open. If our mountain here isn't open, Big White, for another week, like that one's not open. So that changed my plans about what I was gonna wear. And now I just have all the cozy things for inside the house, which is probably all I'm gonna do, is like sit and watch our Christmas movies and color in our coloring books and eat our weight in cheese. And as far as my book, I am giving it 4 stars. It felt really similar, but perfectly fresh at the same time. It was like everything you're expecting to happen, all of the same players, and Mavis is dealing with a lot of the same tough stuff, but by the end of the book, she realizes that she is deserving of peace and softness, and that's just a really beautiful journey to watch. I'm definitely intrigued enough by the relationships to want to continue in the series, but I just don't know if it's in the cards for me. But that's me, like I've said with a lot of series. The crime did get solved, and there's somebody unexpected who did something, but there's also someone expected who did something. So it's got like the perfect balance for a mystery, but then also just a lot of real life stuff and relationships and just like cozy time with her daughter and stuff about work. She's such a good character to follow. She's so solid. She has flaws. She's working on so many things, and also she's working on the world around her, trying to make it better for her to exist in. I quite liked it. Now I have to decide what to bring with me. I'm thinking Vera Wong, because this will be a light read I don't really have to pay the closest attention to, and then Tomb of the Sun King for something fun. They're in Egypt for this one. She's an archivist, and I do feel like one of these two is the kind of thing that I could read while the Christmas movies are playing in the background.
I personally don't think I would read it, just because I never, not once, have liked a cozy mystery sequel the same as the first.
Hello. This is my little room. Got a decent sleep last night. Once I actually fell asleep, it took a while. Here's the view out the window. You can kind of see the mountains in the distance. And there happens to be a cute little Christmas market today. So we're gonna head into like the main part of town and see what that's all about. So far we've watched 2 Christmas movies, both set in Kelowna. So we've just been sitting there being like, oh, that's that spot and that's that spot. They were a sprinkle of Christmas and just like a Christmas movie, if you want to be in my town. I did finish the first half of Vera Wong, and I think this is super successful because it sets up like exactly the same storyline as the first book, where Vera stumbles upon a crime, and then she gets to know all of these people and is interrogating them as witnesses. And in this one, she creates a whole newfound family, but it hasn't abandoned the old family from the first book. And the way she came upon the crime isn't the same. It's like there wasn't a dead body in her tea shop. It's that she finds out about a crime via some documents and then happens to run into someone who knows the person who died. And then she's kind of connecting all these people who knew this guy. He was an actor, and so he has like a stage presence, and who really knows him in real life is the question. And then in here, Vera decides she's going to be an influencer because she's very online, and that's something really fun, is because it still has all of like the very internet-y kind of vibe, but with a 60-year-old protagonist. And what's also funny is like it's bringing back things from the first book. Like I feel like a lot of us were in the live show discussing the fact that Vera, this is not a 60-year-old to us. Like she reads so much younger than she appears to us, but she keeps calling herself like elderly and a senior and like all of these terms that makes her seem like really fragile, yet we all know 60-year-olds who are not like that. And she mentions that multiple times in here about how she wants to see herself as an old woman and as an elder, because it's an honor to grow old, and she wants to be seen as a little old lady. So that just feels like Jessie Q Sotonto was very much aware of the way that we were talking about the first book, like just like generally reviewers. And so she wants to post videos on TikTok, and it's also helping her solve the crime because she's doing these recipes, but in the background, her voiceover is like, here's what I know so far about the investigation. Everyone comment and help me solve it. I'm really glad I brought this one because it is easy to read whilst watching movies and just hanging out. Last night I finished Vera Wong. We watched more Christmas movies, went out for dinner. There's this like old building that's like, it used to be a school and now it's a restaurant. And we went there for dinner. It was interesting. And then we came back and we were gonna go in the hot tub and the hot tub wasn't working. So we had to get a hot tub girl out here today and she fixed it so we can hot tub tonight. I finished this. I'm just gonna insert the clip that I'm simultaneously filming for my Goodreads awards video while I was appreciating the similarities between this and the first book, because obviously when you like a thing, you want the thing to continue to be the same, like have a similar vibe and make you feel the same. I would say in some ways in the second half, I started to feel like it was maybe too similar to the first book in a way that felt like every single reveal was kind of expected. Every person in here had a similar characteristic to someone in the first book, and they all had guilt, like they all felt ashamed about something. And no matter who was actually responsible for what happened regarding the death, they all had some kind of secret that they were holding on to, which is fine, but it felt a little too expected in the way that I would not continue in the series at this point. But I would still give this, I guess, slightly less than the first book. So if I gave the first one a 4.25, this is like a 3.75 to a 4. Still had a great time. Love the warm environment. There was one kind of reveal that was a bigger underground like thing going on, which isn't always my favorite. So that's, I think, where it lost me a little bit, but I still love Vera as a character and I'm really happy that this is the book that I picked. And yeah, today I've started reading another book for the Goodreads Choice video. I brought it with me, but as soon as I finish that, because it is a quick read, I'm gonna get into, well, I actually kind of already started Tomb of the Sun King. I got like 30 pages in. And I don't know if this is really what I want to be reading right now. I'm thinking about also picking up Brimstone or The Strength of the Few because I have the audiobooks of both. Like I can get the audiobook of both. So I'm not sure what I really want to read today, what I'm in the mood for. This is what the girlies who are with me are currently reading. And I do kind of want to put in an audiobook and do some coloring. So I'm not sure about the plan, but I will check in with you probably at the end of the night. I thought it was fun. I liked the steam. I liked the danger. I liked all of the characters. I don't think I'll continue in the series, but maybe I could be convinced. Forgot to film a little tour. So on our way out the door, here's my room. Here's another room. Here's a bathroom. Here's another room. These are all the stairs that go down into the living room. And then there's this really nice kitchen. And that's the tour. We will never be back. That was not our favorite place we've stayed. We had issues with the hot tub, the dishwasher, and the washing machine. There were leaks. We had to do some cleaning. Also, when we got there, we realized it was run by like a company rather than the person who owned the house, who's like, you know, renting it out occasionally while they're away. So if we needed anything, if we called after hours, they just couldn't help us, even though we paid a very substantial, looking into all the fees associated with the rental place, an admin fee. But if you called after 4 p.m. or on the weekend, they were like, I don't know if we have anything available. I don't know if we can really help you. Also, the sheets on the beds were not changed. So there was dirty sheets and there was dirty towels left in one of the hampers when we got there. And there were just some misleading things about the listing, including somebody else living on the property. Anyway, I'm doing laundry. I'm putting stuff away. And then I have to go get Liam from school and it's back into real life. We did stop at this cute new little bookstore in Armstrong called, I think it was the Bookish Collective. I really like their logo and the store was really cute. So we looked around there. It's a used and new bookstore and you know I can't leave a bookstore without buying something. So I got Lesser Known Monsters of the 21st Century. This was in the used section. It was the only thing I really saw that I felt like buying. What else? What are the updates? I haven't been on YouTube in 3 days. I think I opened it as soon as my video posted just to make sure it posted. And then I have not opened YouTube in 3 days and I miss it. I want to catch up on content. I need to read through my comments. I need to post because I have reading sprints coming up. Update on these markers. If you saw my recent video talking about how I got the new alcohol ones, they're incredible. They're incredible and I love them. You definitely need not just like paper in between the pages, but a pretty significant like thick paper because it will bleed through. One of my friends spent like the whole weekend coloring so many of these and they're so pretty. And I get to take it home like it's artwork. I found these little sheets in here where you can do the color because the color on the cap is very inaccurate, more so than any other pens I've ever used. And then they also give you this sheet of paper to use in between the pages that I found later on. So I did spend a good maybe half hour finding all of the colors and coloring that in, which was fun. I didn't do too much coloring, but like, look how many I brought with me. I was just working on this one when we were leaving, but look, see how like flush the color is? Now I'll pull up with the old water-based ones because this one I did like 6 months ago. You can see all the lines in between. So I quite like the markers more. I don't think I have anything to complain about with them besides the fact that they are just so penetrating. Like they just leak through every single page if you're not careful. Now, the reason we're all here, my bookish update, I told you I was going to update you on this, and then I just decided I wasn't in the mood for it. I didn't want to read something. What I was in the mood for was something more romantic after I read a couple of sequels back to back that were, you know, real life and mystery. I wanted something that was romance. This is a fantasy romance, so I thought I was in the mood for it, but it kicked off with 100 pages of, you know, story about the thing that she's studying and learning about, and I just wanted some like ooey gooey feelings. So that's what I was looking for. So I grabbed the audiobook of Brimstone and I listened to, I want to say an hour of it, and I didn't think that was really scratching the itch either. Not that I ever thought Quicksilver was some incredibly written book, but I remember having fun with it. And so I was like, okay, it'll be so fun to get back into the next book. And then it wasn't really grabbing my attention, especially because of something that happens at the end of Quicksilver. It changes our main character's, I don't know, body, mind, soul. Like she's different in the second book. And in a way that I'm not, like I don't really care that much about to read about. So I was like, maybe I'm DNFing both of my fantasy romances because I don't really want to read something historical and smart and I don't want to read that. But then I just got home and this was here. I forgot that I ordered it. I ordered it from a website I've never ordered from before because this is like $43 and I found it on sale somewhere a little while ago. And so now I own it. And now I need to read it, I guess. I don't think it's very good. I don't think Quicksilver was really that good. It's just what I needed in the moment. So I think I'm gonna go ahead. We've got a little box. I'm gonna invest another hour of my time into this and maybe we'll get back to the fun. It's so interesting because I always talk about how I don't like books with established relationships. And I've just now made this connection that maybe one of the reasons I don't like sequels is because it gives me that same feeling of like, this is not the beginning of a relationship. This is not exciting. This is not, ooh, cute, slow burn, like they're already together. In a fantasy book that is so heavily reliant on romance for the plot, I find myself caring less and less about the politics in the fantasy situation as a series goes on. And I really remember very little about the actual world. I just remember the banter and like the fun silliness. And so like, why am I reading a sequel? I don't even know why I'm reading this sequel. Thinking about just moving on to the strength of the few. I do still want to give this just a little bit more of my time. Speaking of sequels, in my most recent vlog, I was talking about the Scream sequel, and I'm just catching up on comments from the video I posted like 3-4 days ago. And on the first day, someone asked me if in your favorite scary movie, they mentioned the fact that one of the actresses got fired because of their views on Palestine or their tweets on Palestine or something like that. And I said, yeah, because I thought they were just asking if the book touched on that fact. And I said, yeah, because I remember there being a paragraph about it. And now, 4 days later, there's a ton of comments asking me about it. And I'm realizing that original comment, I think, was asking me if I was informed about it rather than just asking if it was in the book. Because it is in the book. But all my comments are talking about there being a boycott. And I know nothing about that. I'll tell you what what the book says, because there's so much in here about casting and like how this person was part of the cast and then they left. This person was part of the cast and they got fired. This person was a part of the cast and then this director was in it. This writer was in it. This person got fired. Like there was so much of that. But I don't recall the book saying anything about a boycott. I need to find it.
Where are you?
Can I help you?
He's gonna beat you up.
Why? What did I do? Okay, put a big pot on the stove.
Will you make it for me?
Yeah, put a big pot.
Will you make it for me?
Put a big pot on the stove.
I don't want to cook it.
You're not cooking it. No one's cooking it, actually.
No one's
It's just
cooking.
the water's gonna boil. The ravioli might end up in there.
Do I put water in it?
Yes, Liam.
On repeat?
Yes, Liam.
No, come back.
News finally broke that Ortega wasn't returning a day after it was announced that Melissa Barrera had been fired from the franchise, which stoked speculation that Ortega's decision was made in reaction to her co-star's firing because the cast had grown so close while making the film. While some media coverage implied Barrera was fired because of her pro-Palestine support in general, the statement released by Spyglass at the time pointed to language in social media posts she had shared about the war in Gaza, and it felt crossed into anti-Semitic territory. Her deal wasn't yet in place for Scream 7, and the studio decided to part ways with her. Barrera shared a statement in an Instagram story that didn't directly address her firing, but rather reinforced why she was speaking out and would continue to do so. She posted pro-Palestine things, and Spyglass didn't say that's why she was fired. So how do we know? And she didn't say why she was fired. So how do we know that's why she was fired? Who is calling it the war in Gaza? Like, is the author saying that? Or did Spyglass say that? I guess I wasn't listening intently enough to the audiobook because, yeah, reading it again, I can easily read between the lines that she was supporting Palestine and the studio decided that was anti-Semitic, even though we all know that's not. The sense I've gotten from people in the franchise is that they wish the decision to fire her hadn't been made so quickly, and they think her heart was in the right place and feel sitting down and talking it out may have resolved the issue. People in the franchise, like, who is that even in reference to? Because this would have been a really easy opportunity for Spyglass to rescind what they said then and, like, make peace with everybody. I'm gonna look more into what you're all talking about. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I know that I sometimes, as I wear a knitted cardigan, I'm a little bit of a grandma, I feel, when it comes to media stuff. Like, I don't know. I think I even said in that vlog, like, I never know who's making a movie or what's really happening. I do feel like I probably saw this around social media and I just didn't pay close enough attention to it. So that's my bad for that. The consensus seems to be we're not going to the theater to see this movie. Okay, good morning. I have committed to reading Brimstone. I have not committed to, you can just look at it, to folding and putting away my laundry. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll pop in the audiobook at some point because I did already pick it up. But I have been preferring the physical copy, and I'm only 200 pages in, and technically there's only supposed to be 2 more days left in this challenge. Or not challenge, just this like weekly vlog and what I'm up to. And normally I'd be like, oh, let me push it a little bit to read all the books that I want to. But in this case, like, the Goodreads Choice Awards, we're already in the 2nd round of them. The winners are going to be announced in just like a week and a half, and I don't want my video to come too far behind that. So I am going to finish Brimstone and The Strength of the Few in the next 48 hours. You know, I don't like a sprayed edge, but the metallic one, it's not bad. First 100 pages, I was kind of lost. Like, I just didn't remember much of what happened in Quicksilver, and I didn't feel super invested. And then, you know, there was a sex scene on page 100, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll keep reading. And then I started to remember everything that went down. Probably should have reread it, but remembering all the dynamics and what I was liking about the first book. Honestly, like, what's really selling this one is Carrion, and I said that even in the first book. I love that there's a character who's not just kind of a platonic or, like, I guess friend type character to our main character, who's tagging along. Like, it is someone she actively used to be involved with, and they have a history, and that's making Kingfisher jealous. And I love a jealousy storyline. I love mess. I love drama. I love a love triangle, and I wish this was a love triangle. It's not. But Carrion just provides this comic relief. He's also really charming, and I felt like in the first half of Quicksilver, the Callie Hart would not commit to him being such a prominent character in the whole series, but he is, and I love that. In the first book, we meet Ceres living in an oppressive kind of society. Everyone is struggling. It's very hot. There's not much to eat. People have to steal to survive, and through some circumstances, she ends up opening a door to like a fairy realm. The series is called Fae and Alchemy, so we know from the beginning that there are fairies, there are alchemists, there are vampires, and she has some alchemical abilities, but is also just trying to figure all of that out. And in this book, she has a different role to play, and there's more of her figuring out her own power. I think like internal and external. And I do believe that I think I could reasonably check this off my bingo board for someone getting in touch with their powers. I think this works for it. Last night I didn't read too much because I caught up on so much YouTube and just caught up with my family and what they're up to. Liam got all of his snowboard stuff ready over the weekend, like had to buy new snow pants. We got him a new board last month, and then he needed new boots, and we got him step-in bindings this year. I just feel like every year I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna invest in something that'll last him a couple years, and then he outgrows it within 2 seasons. It's so silly of me, but we've done it again. But this year his board, like he's gotten more particular and more specific about what he actually needs and wants, because like I don't know that much about snowboarding. I just like rent a board and then I stand on it and then I try to get to the bottom of the hill. Like, no, that's underselling my skills. I can get to the bottom of the hill. It's getting off the chairlift every time that I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Why can't I just like take a gondola up every time? I don't want to have to actually get off and like snowboard off of the chairlift because I fall like half the time. So there's not much I can really teach him. And so he's just kind of, it's the same with skating and hockey. Like I just put him on the ice when he was 5 years old and I was like, figure it out. Like, I don't know. I wish that my parents had put me in all of these sports, so I'm just going to put you in all of them, but I can't really teach you. So just like go forth and do it. And like he did it. He's taught himself how to snowboard. He taught himself how to skate. Like I'm there, but I can't really offer very much guidance. And so at this point he's like figured out what type of, oh, I don't even know. There's like different types of snowboards as far as where the pressure is and where they flex and stuff. And then like the tail of the snowboard and all of these things. And he's figured out the things that he likes and how to actually like take jumps and do all these things. And so we wanted to go up because opening day was supposed to be this Friday. And every year I let him skip school and we go up and we snowboard on opening day. But this year we were supposed to go on Friday, which is why he was getting all his stuff ready. But then they pushed it. So it's probably not going to be for another week. I don't know when the snow is going to arrive. So that's my update on that. And anything else I want to say about my book at this point? I think the amount that they're using the word mate is really not for me, but I feel like maybe this is just par for the course with fairy books, werewolf books. There's just a lot of female and male talk, which I don't really like. And as far as mate, it's just that that word has been used at least 20 times in the first like 3 chapters. So when I started talking about catching up on YouTube, because I caught up on almost everything in my sub box, except Gavin and Bria have both posted reviews for The Strength of the Few. And I really want to watch their videos, but I have to read the book first. Gavin actually did a whole sequel video reading, I think Brimstone is in there too. So I can't wait to finish all these books so I can watch other people talk about these books. And I'll try to remember to check in with you again when I've hit maybe the halfway point. It's snowing. It's very wet snow. And I think as I go down into town to get groceries, it's gonna be less snowing because I'm at the top of a hill. But oh my gosh, this is my first time seeing snowflakes this year. Okay, as they're landing, they just look like rain, so I can't really show you, but trust me, it is snowing and it smells different. I did get halfway through my book and I have nothing to say. Oh my god, it's so cold in here, hold on. I just have no real updates about my book. I made it to halfway point and I like the story. I like the balance of like romance stuff with plot. There's so much plot in here and everything that everyone is having to deal with. There's pressures, there's people manipulating other people, there's people in power, maybe our main characters are in power. It's just like all of the politics are really interesting. Really interesting. They're interesting. It's not like the most incredible book I've ever read. And I just washed and curled my hair today, so now it's gonna get wet from the snow because I have to grab groceries and then grab Liam. And that's all I have to say for now. I'll be frank, I'm pretty tired of reading this book. With that said, I don't think there's anything really wrong with it. I just don't care anymore. I just read a scene, and like the tattoo ruin stuff is like kind of fun in theory, but it's also just really stupid. And they just had this incredible sex, so good. It created tattoos on her body, these roses all over her thighs. And he goes, "See, don't say I never give you flowers." This book is so stupid. I remember the first book being stupid, but it was also fun at the same time. This one, it's just like there's more world building, there's more characters, the stakes are higher, they're more mature, they're more thoughtful. Like, I don't care. I want the stupidity. I want the silly, goofy times. And you know what I realized? I have never, not once ever, given a sequel a higher rating than the first book. And I feel like that is a typical experience, but I also see certain series that I can think of, certain, you know, very colorful series that you see on the bookshelves of every book talker, who say like the second book is so much better, the third book is so much better. I think that's so interesting. And maybe if I read more sequels and more series, then I would have that experience too. But I've never given out a higher star rating. Like maybe I've given the first book a 4 and the second book a 4, when I'd say like, okay, it's a little bit better of a 4, but it was still, they're both 4s. I was bored last night listening to the audiobook, and I pulled a bunch of books for this graphic where these are books these are series where I have liked subsequent books the same as the first book, but never more. With maybe the exception of Veronica Speedwell, although, yeah, there is like, I gave them all 4s, but one of the sequels, I'm like, it's still a 4, but it was a little bit better than the first one. Like if I had to rank them, I don't know if that counts. Let me know series in your life where you have rated a sequel higher than the first book. I'm so intrigued. This isn't going to be that for me. This is going to be a 3 by the end. I really don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't care. And I think it's very interesting that this is what I decided to read for this video. And I need it to be over. What's happening? Anything I want to update you on in life? I just got a call for Liam's bronchoscopy. They wanted to do it in like 3 days. They called and they were like, "Hey, can you come down to the coast in a couple days?" And I was like, no, because I'm going to fly there and I need a little bit more notice. So we're going to do it in January, I guess, where they put my sweet baby to sleep to look inside his lungs and take things from him. But today he was just on the ice, and it wasn't a typical, because he does like hockey instead of gym, or his gym is hockey. And they had all of these kids on the ice who are blind, and they were teaching them how to skate today, which is so very cute. I guess there's no identifying details. I don't really have any interesting pictures, but I snapped a quick picture of all of them on the ice together. But the hockey kids are just so tall that you can't even see the kids anyway. But I'm almost done this, and then I'll give you my final rating. I did it. I finished Brimstone. Yay! And I'm also gonna finish The Strength of the Few today. Yeah, I am. I'm gonna do it. I feel it in my soul. This is a 2.5 star. What I like about the series is we have a strong female main character. I like the banter. I like the dynamic between the love interest. I liked it more in the first book. I love an obsessed main character. I talk about that all the time, but he still has to have a little bit of an edge. And in this one, he kind of lost it. Things I really didn't like about this. Okay, one, it was poorly edited, to be sure. Anybody would say that. Repetitive lines, misspellings. I will say, like, that's not actually something that I care about as much as a lot of other people seem to, which is like fair that other people care really deeply about that. It's not something that bothers me to the point that I would dock a star. It's just definitely something to note, is that neither of the books in this series have had that much care put into them as far as like getting them perfect to sell. What I also don't like about this is it sets up so many things just to take them back. The stakes don't feel super high. It's a lot of like low commitment, you know, in series when the author knows how much you love a character, so they're not really willing to let them die. That's not actually exactly what happens in here, but like, you know that feeling when you know that they love a character so much, they kill them off, but they're just going to be back a page later because they can't actually let us sit in that. There are multiple moments like that, not even regarding death, but introducing certain ideas and concepts and characters, betrayals that a page later it's like, just kidding, that didn't really happen, or all of this setup for this creaturous thing, like it doesn't actually matter anymore. Maybe there's a kidnapping, but they get over it really, really quickly. This book felt like it wanted to add so much plot into it, so it was constantly moving, but because it was constantly moving, it still felt really low plot. And then the ending, there's some reveals, there's some answers to certain questions, and I think that that would intrigue a lot of people to continue in the series. For me, I would not want to continue at all because the books have gotten more and more high fantasy. Of course, it was fantasy to begin with, but the first book felt really dystopian in a certain way. It was like a dystopian with fae, and I like the nature of the alchemical arts, and that's not really what this type of like magic system and fantastic world is. And it's funny because I feel like most books that are narrated in a duet style I love and I recommend, because that's just such an immersive audiobook experience. And so I would still recommend that for people who love it. But for me, I had to abandon the audiobook pretty early because there are so many characters and they're all voiced by the same narrator. And it's told in duet. So like, even if we're from her perspective, Sarah's perspective, when any of the male characters have dialogue, the male narrator for the audiobook slips like in to say the line. And it's just so easy to forget that it's not Kingfisher doing that line, like it's all these other people. I don't think they distinguish, and the same is true from Kingfisher's perspective. It's just like a little bit messy, and I do indeed regret purchasing this. I thought this was going to be like a favorite series. I know that I don't dip my toe into this type of book very often, and so a lot of people were questioning my love for Quicksilver to begin with, which is fair. Looking back now, I probably should never reread it because I'll have to confront whatever I was going through internally at the moment to make me love that. But yeah, I'm looking for a different series now. This is not the one for me. I think everything that I didn't like about the first book that stopped me from giving it a 5-star was exacerbated in here, and that it suddenly is a 2. Yeah, I didn't really care about much going on here, but I'm proud of myself for finishing it. This was my first 5-star of 2025. It flipped what the sequel could be, which is just very interesting. The first book in this series is about this guy. He's supposedly 18, but nobody reads the book as if he's that age, especially if you're listening to the audiobook, which I did for portions of the first book. Because he just sounds like, you know, a 40-year-old man, and he acts like a 40-year-old man. But I think the author just wanted to make, you know, the typical school environment, so he had to cast a younger individual. And in the fantasy world that we're in, you can give your will away and other people can take will from people. There's a hierarchy of power, so like all the people in the bottom, in the lesser part of society, cede their will to the next, and then cede their will to the next. And so the people in power are getting even more power. Definitely not subtle with its societal commentary. Our main character's name is Viz, and Viz has certain secrets. And when he goes to this school, well, first he has to get adopted by this family who want to use him for certain things. A big theme of the book is, you know, power already imbalance in society, but also the society is reflected in the school, and the society is reflected in like how characters are all behaving just in general. Viz gets taken in by somebody who wants to use him for their own reasons. Put him in this school. We don't really know what the school is about at the beginning of the book, and he agrees to go, but he also has his own plans behind the scenes. So there's secrets upon secrets, and he meets various people who are trying to control him in different ways, and he's helping other people with their goals to find out the truth about certain things. You imagine in this type of society, there are many secrets, there's many political relationships. And one thing I really love about the first book is there's this like Maze Runner, Hunger Games type training, and I imagine that's going to be completely missing from here because they're not necessarily in the school. There's still some schooling involved at the point that I'm in, like they're talking about it, so I imagine he goes back, but it's not the same. Like everything has changed from the first book, and we at the very end, got an idea that shakes up the entire series and what is even happening in the world. Like, it's not one of those reveals where it explains something from earlier, or it's a shocking reveal from something already in the text. It's the type of reveal that just changes what the series is going to be. And so in here, Viz has to come to grips with the thing that he just found out about reality. And I don't really know what else could happen. And I think I've seen people say that the end of this one is shocking too. So the series is just going to continue being a wild ride. Part of the training at the school is this labyrinth, and they have to practice. It's kind of like seeding will to begin with is a process of giving up control and pushing your power somewhere else. And so there's this labyrinth where you kind of have to practice that situation. You can move certain things with your will, with your mind, and it's about harnessing that control and what you can do with it. And just like the hierarchy of society, there's a hierarchy in the school where you can move through different levels, and there's reasons why you might want to be in a different level than another. And do the people at the top of the class really have the best things going for them, or do they have even more pressure? I don't think it would be a spoiler to tell you that there are certain deaths and betrayals that happened in the first book. Like, there's a lot of dark things that occur, and so I think that's fair to tell you because there are so many characters. There's no way that you would know who that's involving anyway. So at the beginning of this, I think Viz is grappling with a lot of that, who he can trust, if the deaths that occurred were caused by the things or the people that he thought, and he's just having to figure out a lot of stuff. There's also all of these new characters that are introduced in the first like 200 pages that I read. We have this whole new almost found family kind of feel, and I just wonder if they're going to stick around, or we're going to get back to the people that we've known before, or it's going to be a mix of everyone. I hope that, because I'm liking the writing already, that I easily get back into the world and understanding everything that's going on, because it's already a struggle to grasp the whole situation, and then, like I said, everything shifts. So I will see you in a couple hours when I've made some more progress. Next time I suggest doing a sequels vlog, somebody please remind me how difficult I find it to talk about sequels without spoiling the first book, because I'm so close to the end and I feel like I have nothing to say. And it's also because I think I have a hard time reading sequels independently without thinking about the first book, comparing to the first book, and just I'm constantly thinking about what the characters have done, what they're doing now, and like why I'm liking it or not liking it compared to what the author did in the first book. So I'm just gonna lean into that instead of trying to fight it. I think this book is paced really well. There are always things happening and things are constantly moving and changing. And I almost said Vec. I almost called him Vec because something in the back of my head is how much I want to talk about that word. How much Viz is dealing with. It's constant, like having to talk to different people and spy and sneak around. But then also there's fun participation things. So compared to the trials in the first book, we still have that vibe with things like chariot races. There was a chariot race and it was very thoroughly described. There was something akin to a training sequence for reasons. Yeah, I can't stop thinking about the word Vec, because Vec is used, I guess, in place of fuck. There was one chapter where it was on every single page, the word Vec in italics, because Viz is constantly just saying Vec, Vec this. And I get that he's stressed, but oh my God. I am still interested, but I already know at this point that I'm not going to continue in the series. Like, I really don't care enough, which is me and like every series ever. So I'm glad I did read a book that made me want to read the sequel, but I'm not surprised that I'm going to stop here regardless of how it ends. And that is honestly just making it really difficult to want to complete these last like 100 pages. But I am going to wrap it up now. Final thoughts on the strength of the few and this vlog as a whole. I give it 3.5 stars. I give the vlog 3.5 stars. This book had some things I don't love. A heavy revenge plot, but I understand why. And too many time jumps, but I understand why. It also, much like Brimstone, introduces a lot of concepts, but takes them back. And therefore, from then on, when the first time that happens, once that happens, from then on, nothing feels like it has high stakes anymore. Someone said that it reminded them of reading Gideon the Ninth, and I kind of agree. Where some of it you just feel like you're in it and you don't really know how you feel about it or what's going on. But unlike Gideon the Ninth, it didn't have the fun. And even in the first book, The Will of the Many, I feel like there was some type of fun energy in it. Viz had more enthusiasm. Maybe it's the writing doesn't feel as enthusiastic. In the first book, I feel like he's making a lot of moves. And in this book, he's reacting to a lot of things that are happening around him. Am I a little bit bummed I didn't end up getting to this? Yes, but to be honest, like over these last 8 days, I did stretch the vlog a day. It didn't call to me. I didn't want to pick it up at any point. I think I probably will eventually. And I know I'm going to come back to this when I'm in the mood to learn things and be back in that historical vibe. That's my sequels vlog. Let me know if you're going to read any of these books. And please, genuinely, if I ever mention doing a video like this again, tell me not to. Because a couple years from now, I'm going to forget. Because I think this is the exact same thing that happened when I did the series reading cozy mystery sequels. I was like, why am I doing this? I can't even talk about the book very well. I'm already not the best reviewer. And I never love sequels. Anyway, that's it for me this week. And I'll see you in a couple days with something else. Bye!